Well, like I said, looking back on it today, it was like the best day of my life.
Yeah.
Because I started becoming, all I can describe it as is lucky.
Welcome to Curious Chats and Kind Acts, the podcast that celebrates difference, kindness, and the little things we can all do to make our world a better place. Join me, your host, Sonia, co-founder of the Axe Charity, for some open, authentic and fun conversations with lots of interesting, extraordinary, everyday people who are all a little bit different. Prepare to have your curiosity piqued and your heart warmed as we explore the ways we can all make a difference in the world, no matter how small. So get ready to be inspired, uplifted and motivated to be the kindest version of yourself. Let's make the world a kinder place, one conversation at a time. Hello, 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 and welcome to Curious Chats and Kind Acts. How are you today? Today we're going to talk to Mark. Now, Mark grew up in Rhyl, but he now lives in the middle of nowhere. And when I visited, I had to go via several farmers on my way to his home. Now, Mark lost his leg when he was 10 from a car accident. This led him to a swimming therapy, where he received the biggest act of kindness of his life, access to a swimming coach. And from this, he went on to win Paralympic medals. We discuss his brushes with royalty and how he started his award-winning business called Limb Art. Now, they make prosthetic leg covers which help amputees improve their confidence. We start this interview by finding out where it all began.
My name's Mark Williams, and I'm the founder and CEO of Limb Art. So we make the world's coolest prosthetic leg covers for amputees.
We normally start just at the beginning, really, talk a little bit about kind of growing up, how was life.
Okay.
That's a good place for you.
Yeah, I was born in Rhyl, in North Wales, and really the first momentous day would have been June 1982. Just finished junior school, just passed my cycling proficiency, best in class. Riding home from school, car came the other way, didn't see me, so I ended up 20 foot over this stone wall. They rushed me into hospital, and then in the evening, the surgeon came out to speak to my parents and said he had some good news and some bad news. The good news was King Charles, as he is now, and Princess Diana had just had a baby boy, which is Prince William. And the bad news is they couldn't save my leg. So that was the day I became an amputee. And I remember kind of waking up in hospital, looking down and seeing there was a lump on the right side of the bed sheets and no lump on the left. And it was the first time I really realised I was an amputee. And I thought, oh, that's it, life's kind of over. I'm 10 years old. Mum and Dad are going to have to look after me and feed me and take me to the bathroom and stuff. And it was quite a sort of a low point. And then not knowing then that I'd be looking back on that day today and going, probably the best day of my life.
Wow.
So,
what was the pain like?
I don't really remember, I mean, of course, it's 42 years ago now. Pain as in an injury pain.
Yeah.
But I remember for about the first year, you got phantom pains, which is basically your brain trying to figure out why it's not getting signals back from the bottom of the leg. You get like a cramp in your leg that's not there. And it's, yeah, it plays with your brain quite a bit. And even today, I can wiggle my toes on my left leg that's not there. And I can feel my toes wiggling, although they're not there.
That's weird.
And then you get itches. So fortunately, after a year, all the phantom pains, the ones that were really painful, went. But even now, I get an itch on the side of your leg. On the side of my prosthetic, you'll get an itch there. Well, clearly it's not itching.
What happens if you scratch the itch?
So, and that's the only way you can get rid of it. No. You can tell yourself in your brain as much as possible that you can't have an itch mark because the leg isn't there. And the itch will get worse and worse and worse. And the only way you do it is go and scratch your prosthetic and the itch disappears. And it's something you get used to now and you have a bit of a laugh and a joke about it. But it can be really serious for some people. It fries their brains because they can't figure out why they're getting these feelings. Because nobody's ever told the brain, you haven't got a left leg anymore.
That is mad. So you're 10 years old, you one leg less.
Yeah.
How did you start from there?
Well, like I said, looking back on it today, it was like the best day of my life.
Yeah.
Because I started becoming, all I can describe it as is lucky. So my first bit of luck was when I was in Glenclwyd Hospital in the hydrotherapy pool. Mick Jones, who was the coach of Rhyl Swimming Club, had slipped on the poolside and damaged his back. So he was also in physio and in hydrotherapy. I couldn't swim. In fact, I was scared of water. Dad was scared of water, so naturally I was scared of water. So Mick said to me and Mum, well, we're going to be in here for the next few weeks, so why don't I teach you to swim? So Mick taught me to swim after 2 weeks, something like that. Mick said he's seen hundreds of kids go through Rhyl Swimming Club, and he says he always spots ones that are naturally gifted at swimming. And he said the way Mark's swimming now is just, it's like he's been swimming for years. So he says, I'd love to give him a year's free training in Rhyl Swimming Club. He was not going to get anything out of it. It was just purely from the kindness of his heart. He said, I'll give you a year's for free. So I took that up, started training in Rhyl Club, 5 o'clock in the morning till 7 before school. So Dad used to have to get up and take me down to the pool, and loved it, absolutely loved it.
And what about, like, how are you getting around at this point?
I'd lost my leg. It was the last week of junior school, and then I started Glenclwyd High School the first day. I walked into the main theatre on the first day. So it was 7 weeks of summer holidays.
Yeah.
And that was my sort of goal fairly early on, was I'm going to walk into school day one.
Yeah. And did you feel that you had to cover it up in that, or were you out and proud?
No, I was probably okay at that time. It was probably just later on I started getting a few image issues.
So you're swimming crack of dawn, school's okay.
Yeah.
Your leg you're managing with.
Yeah.
You didn't need crutches or anything, I don't know. You just...
No, to get to the poolside and stuff, that was about it.
Right.
And
so when you're in the pool, do you have a swimming leg?
No. You take your leg off to go swimming.
Right. So you'd have crutches.
So I used to go to the changing rooms. You take your leg off and you put your speedos on and stuff, and then crutches to the poolside.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that was it for a couple of months training in Rhyl pool, and then Mick entered me into the Rhyl Prestatyn and Abergele swimming championships. I had no choice in this. Mick said, "You've been entered," and so this was obviously against able-bodied kids.
Yeah.
And I won a few of the races and was on the podium for the majority of them.
Yeah.
So Mick said to me, he said, "We need to figure out how quick you are in the disabled world," because he says there must be disabled swimming championships. So Mick wrote down to the BSAD, the British Sports Association for the Disabled, who were based in Stoke Mandeville, the birthplace of the Paralympics, and asked them for the qualifying times for the British Championships. And of course, this is before email and WhatsApp and stuff. This is 1982, 1983. So you had to scribe a letter and put it in these red boxes and wait. Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, this letter came back with the 4 qualifying times on. And disappointingly, they were miles quicker than where I was. But like me and Mick agreed, okay, well, at least we've got a target to go for.
Yeah.
And it's something I've sort of kept in my mind ever since then, is always have something to go for.
Yeah.
So we knuckled down 4 or 5 mornings a week training. And fairly quickly, we were knocking a half second off, another half second off, and these qualifying times started to look like they'd be in reach. So we dropped backstroke and breaststroke and just concentrated on freestyle and butterfly. They seemed to be the 2 that were the easiest to achieve, or the ones that I was best at.
Yeah.
And then one day Mick said, okay, we're going to get the proper timing gear out in the morning when you come in for training. Come in early, and then we can get it done before everyone else arrives. And we'll see. He said, I think with the right conditions, I think we're nearly there.
Right.
So I went in and 100 butterfly and 100 freestyle, beat both qualifying times by about half a second.
Wow.
So Mick then wrote back to the BSAD to say, okay, Mark's now beaten the qualifying times. How do we get him into the championships? And they wrote back saying, Mick, there's some kind of mistake here. We didn't send you the qualifying times. What we sent you was the British records. So that got me into Team GB. They said the British Championships are on in 3 weeks in Stoke Mandeville. Can you get Mark down here? So I went to the British Championships down in Stoke Mandeville.
3 weeks later?
Yeah.
So you've gone from real swimming, but how old are you? 11 at this point?
12, something like that, yeah. So I came back with 5 golds and 5 British records. So that included the breaststroke and backstroke that I wasn't particularly great at. And then, so that just catapulted me then on a platform around Europe swimming, out to the US and stuff. The World Championships, the first World Championships, which were in 1986. And then it was shortlisted. They were about a year out from the championships. They were deciding where the championships were going to be held. And it was a shortlist of Los Angeles, Barbados, or Nottingham. Nottingham won it. So we swam in Nottingham. I got 2 golds, 3 silvers.
Is this like in an under 18 category?
Yeah, that was the junior games,
Right,
so under
okay.
18s.
But you're still only about 12 at this age.
So 86, I'd be 14 now.
Right.
So then I got the letter in after to say I was in the shortlist for the 88 Seoul Paralympics out in South Korea. And then they only pick the final team about 3 or 4 months out from the games to see who's on the right level.
Yeah.
I got the call that I was in the final team. So we had to go down to London for a send-off party, which was held by Princess Diana and Frank Bruno. There was 250 of us in a room in London, and just fantastic. So spoke to Princess Diana for quite a while, and then I'd said at the time that I'd lost my leg the day that she gave birth to Prince William. So out to Seoul, I got silver and bronze, missed the gold by 0.2 of a second. So I remember going up the last length and touching the wall. It was Michael Boucherie from France next to me, and we both looked at each other, and it was kind of in all the championships, me and him in the finals, and neither of us knew who'd got it. And of course, the times don't come up on the board until the last person's touched. At the time, they do now. So this last guy was like 8 seconds behind. So the longest 8 seconds, he touched the wall, and I'd missed it by 0.2. So I was kind of disappointed leaving Seoul. But fortunately, the year after was the World Championships in Miami. Me and Mick focused on them. Out to Miami, outdoor pool, 50 metre, Olympic size, really, really great facility. Felt really good there. Same 100 metre fly final. Me, Michael Boucherie in lanes 4 and 5, the fastest lanes. And exactly the same again, apart from up on the last length. I remember my stroke looking like it was going to be out by the time I got to the end, where you have to take a little like half stroke to touch the wall. And that can be the difference between first and third sometimes. So anyhow, I just shortened up my stroke a little bit and touched the wall. Michael touched the wall at the same time. Both of us looked at it, and it was like a copy-paste of the year before. The guy is still 8 seconds behind. So he touched the wall, and my name came up on top. So I'd beat him by 0.2. But my name went then red, because in butterfly you've got loads of different rules and regulations you've got to adhere to. Double-handed touches on both turns, got to come up before the colour change on the lane ropes and all these kind of things. So I thought, I've been disqualified.
What did you do?
Coach came over and said to me, the reason it's gone red is because she broke the world record.
Oh!
So that was a very different feeling then to the year before. When I got home, I said to Mick and to Mum and Dad, I said, you know what, I've been swimming for 7 years, pretty much, every morning. And in the last few years, every morning and most evenings. I said, I'm going to take a week off. Because taking a week off means it takes you 2 weeks to get back to where you were.
Right,
okay. So a week means 3 weeks, really. So I took a week off, and then a week turned into a month. And then a month turned into quite a few years, and never swam competitively after that.
You did it?
I'd done what I set out to achieve.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the best in the world, and very fortunate. So all that journey from losing my leg to becoming world champion.
And do you not get paid for...
You didn't then, so that was before National Lottery funding.
Right, okay.
So that was when I got the letter to say I was in the shortlist to go to Seoul. The second page said, don't forget you have to pay for yourself. It was £3,000. We didn't have £3,000. I was just really lucky. Again, being lucky. S4C had just started 6 months before, the Welsh channel. So all the stars came together and put a concert on in Glenclwyd School. The community around me were just people giving pocket money into through the letterbox at the door and stuff.
Because this is before Just Giving or anything like that.
It was real
put
community.
Word out saying you needed to get £3,000 together in the community.
So we raised in about 3 months £7,000. So that paid for me and someone else. But it all stems from Mick saying, I'll give you a year for free because I want to see what you're doing here.
And it's like, from a kindness perspective, it's like the perfect example of a ripple effect, isn't it? Because it started from that one act of kindness.
Yeah.
Near the end of that journey, you've got this whole community and demonstrating kindness to enable you to go and fulfill your dream.
And I think it's one of them, it's a two-way street, that what Mick did, it triggers stuff off then. It's a ripple effect. But I think this ripple, rather than being in a pond and slowly diminishing as it goes across the pond, I think it gathers pace. So it was natural for me then, when I was training and I was starting to get some success, to then I did a sponsored swim in Rhyl pool to raise money for the hospital that had done my operation and stuff. I think some of that was people going, okay, let's give a bit back.
This is how it works.
And it kind of just bounces both ways. Without that level of kindness, I wouldn't be able to swim, wouldn't have done the swimming career, or would have done the swimming career, and how bad would it have been? And some people didn't make it to Seoul, not because they weren't quick enough, but because they couldn't afford it, which is horrendous.
Yeah.
Fortunately, today, you've got national lottery funding, so that's where all the Paralympic team gets supported from. So if you're good enough, you will get funding.
Yeah. Wow. So you're 18, you quit swimming. What do you do?
Well, that's it. I'd been to, I think it was 19 by now, by the end of the Miami World Championships. I'd been to the College of Life and the College of Swimming, but not the College of Education. I had my CSEs from Glenclwyd School. Really didn't fancy going back into education and starting again. So just needed to get a job. So I had a few little jobs. And then I joined a company called Economics Laboratories, which was later shortened to Ecolab, as a salesman around this area here where we live, selling teat dips for dairy cows to farmers. So really left of field. So started with them as a sales rep in North Wales, and then progressed to sort of a trainer for them, and then manager of Wales, manager of the UK, manager of North Europe, and then in the end my patch was Europe, Africa, Middle East.
Wow.
So from top of Russia down to Cape Town, looking after our main sort of product ranges there, and doing talks to various different teams and in various different countries.
You do like to strive, don't you?
Yeah.
Where does that come from, do you think?
I think it comes from saying that Mick said to me one day, no excuses, can do, find a way. And it's our company sort of strapline now. I think, my dad's not with us now, but they said when I came out of hospital, I was a very different boy that went into hospital. Went in, not really caring what was going on the next day or anything, as when I came out, I was very driven, needed to achieve something, needed to get it done.
Yeah.
I think when you've come very close to the whole thing not working and not making it through, you realise how precious life is and how it can suddenly stop.
Yeah.
So that drive, I think, has stayed with me and helped me through, certainly in the swimming career. In the summer, it's great. You get up at 5 o'clock, beautiful mornings, cycle to the swimming, and really good. But in February, when the hail is rattling on the window and the alarm goes off, it takes a lot of getting up to get that training done.
Yeah.
So when I joined Ecolab, I did well with them, and we even in 2008, I think it was, we won the Prince Philip Award for innovation. Okay. We managed to develop a system that turned milk into a disinfectant.
Oh wow!
So it really helped the dairy industry. And the only issue I really had in my Ecolab career was when you've got a prosthetic leg from the NHS, like the one there with the Welsh socket on. They're like a stem at the bottom. It's like a flagpole. And I had to wear a suit for work, so your trousers flapped around it like a flag around a flagpole.
Right, okay.
So I kind of walk okay as a below-knee amputee.
Yeah.
But people were looking at my trouser leg all the time and wondering why was it flapping. It just didn't sit right.
Yeah.
So I was a bit conscious of that. Looking back on it, I didn't realise how conscious I was, but I was a bit conscious of it. I looked for various different options, and the NHS would give you like a foam cover, but it was truly dire, the way this thing looked. So I made myself a fiberglass copy of my good leg, tie-wrapped it onto my prosthetic leg, and it gave me this shape under trousers. And, that was great. And then 6 years ago now, nearly 7 years ago, me and my wife rebuilt an old 1962 Land Rover. From the chassis up, it was completely wrecked. Came to the stage of painting it. So I'd just finished spraying it, had about half a litre of spray paint left. And I thought, well, shame to waste it because this is going to go off because it's 2-pack. So I sprayed my leg cover the same colour as the Land Rover. And then Rachel took a picture of me with the Land Rover up at the Brennig Reservoir just above us here. And it went on social media. It was a UK amputees Facebook site just for amputees. And someone had put on it so what cars do all us amputees drive? And the people were putting the pictures of various different cars. So I put the picture up of my Land Rover with me sitting on the bonnet with my Land Rover leg. And within 15 minutes or something like that, I had a message from an amputee in Birmingham to say, where'd you get your leg cover from? It's really cool. I've been looking for something like that. I said, I made it myself. Do you think you can make me one? Well, I suppose I could. So I made him one. And then his mate, who was an amputee, said, do you think you can make one for your mate? Well, I suppose I could. So I made one for his mate. And then I'd made a Christmas one. So this was December 2017. So I was in Morrison's in Denby, wearing my Christmas leg, which had LED lights inside it. And you could press the buttons and change the light colours. In my shorts and T-shirt, as you do, just to kind of blend in, you know. And this little 4-year-old lad escaped from his mum, came running up to me and he said, hey, mister, your leg's really cool. So I let him press the buttons and change the lights. And he was like, this is just so cool. This is the best thing I've ever seen. And then he said to his mum, Mum, can I have one of these for Christmas? Oh. And you go, okay, a little awkward. And his mum said, well, you can't because the gentleman's only got one leg. And that's why he's got a magic flashing leg. You've got 2 legs, so you can't have one. And he was dead disappointed. And then, to cut a long story short, driving home from Denby to here, I had a bit of a flashback of waking up in hospital, looking down and just seeing one lump in the bed and thinking life was pretty much over, to thinking, God forbid, if something happened to that little 4-year-old lad now and he lost his leg, he might just wake up and go, does this mean I can have one of them flashy legs now?
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't get this thought out of my head. And by the time I got home, I walked through the door and my wife said, okay, what's up? You could see on my face there was something. And I said, we've been making the odd leg cover for amputees as a bit of fun. I said, I think there's more to it. I think it has an impact on the wearer and Joe Public that are looking at you. So we got a team together and Limart was founded with an objective to make the world's coolest prosthetic leg covers. We're not going to try and make a leg look like a leg. Yeah. Not trying to match skin tones or anything like that. We're going to make these things look cool. Carbon fibres and flags and tattoos and all sorts of stuff on them. We got this team together. Again, really fortunate. We approached a company. I'd gone all over. I was kind of doing it at the same time as I was doing my Ecolab job. I was going, if I'm going to be there with an Ecolab, I'll go and see that company while I'm there. And I'd been all over the UK and couldn't find a company that could make the size that I needed. Yeah. And we were looking at 3D printing. And then, just by coincidence, I bumped into someone on the industrial estate in Bodelwyddan, and they said, go see that company over there. They do some funky stuff, and maybe they'll help. So I knocked on the door. I had a prosthetic leg in one hand, and my fiberglass copy one I'd made in the other. And the receptionist came to the door. And I said, the guy over there said, you might be able to help me. I'm looking for a company to help support us and develop this idea of making prosthetic leg covers for amputees. And she said, okay. She said, the boss only does stuff by prior appointment. But she said, I think you can bypass that one. Because she says, to turn up at the reception with a prosthetic leg and a botched together leg cover, let me go see if he's got 5 minutes. So then he came down and he was like, what a great idea. All right, let's develop it all. So he put a team together to help us doing all the CAD work and all that work. And it was fantastic. And he basically charged us cost. Yeah. But only once we'd finished the project. I think it would have been impossible almost.
Amazing act of kindness.
Yeah. So without them, we wouldn't have developed the idea. Yeah. So then we launched the idea in 2018, and immediately after launching the idea, we won the Stelios Award for Entrepreneurship. Oh. So Stelios from EasyJet. Yeah. And trying to give away half his fortune of $1 billion. So he'd set up the Stelios Foundation, where if you're disabled or you're making a product for disabled, you can enter the awards. Well, we were obviously both. Tick. So we won that one, and we got some financial support from Stelios and great advice and stuff. Yeah. And some help from the Easy group. And we thought, well, what a great launch to the company. You couldn't get a better launch than that. And then we had a letter came through the door a couple of weeks later. It was from Prince William to say that our company and story had come across his desk. He'd heard about the fact of me losing my leg the day he was born, and wanted to just wish us all the very best for the company of the future. And you
didn't get to meet him then.
No.
That's to come.
Yeah. And then it was just a whirlwind then of different awards and stuff. And we just went from strength to strength. Ended up getting a contract with the NHS. So now any amputee in the UK can just go into their limb centre and say, I want my leg finished with a limb art cover.
Wow, that's incredible.
And the NHS fund it. But it actually saves the NHS money because they were trying to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Very bespoke, very one-off. And
Yeah.
it was costing them hours and hours of time, as they can just order one from us and it's clips on and that's it. Easy done.
Yeah.
And then we export to 14 different countries.
Wow.
So we just launched in the US with Empire Medical over there. So they've got access to 250 limb centres. So it's just, you still have to keep pinching yourself.
Yeah.
From the, I guess the moment we thought this could be something was, we knew the reaction we were getting to making these leg covers. But I thought this is going to be nothing more than a side hustle.
Yeah.
And as long as it doesn't cost me money, I don't need to make any money out of it.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't cost me money, it'll be something good to do. And then I got the data through from the Amputee Coalition out in the US and the NHS in the UK. So in the UK, you've got around about 600 to 700 new amputees every month.
Every month?
Every month. In the US, you've got pretty much the same numbers, 600 amputees, new amputees, every day.
Wow.
30 million amputees globally. So I got the calculator and I put 30 million times 299 quid for our leg covers, and it's 7.2 billion quid. So I thought, maybe this is something a little bit more than a side hustle.
Is that how much they are? 300 quid?
Yeah. I realised the only thing that was holding Limb Art back was the fact that I had a full-time job with another company. So I spoke to my boss and told him exactly what I was doing and gave them 18 months notice of me going. So it helped them. 18
months?
Yeah.
That's generous.
Yeah. Well, they've been really good to me over 25 odd years.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Good. And so now this is your full-time gig. You moved out here and you've got your office and everything. And
yeah.
Wow.
And it's like when we set the business up, I had it written on the wall on that board there actually, of criteria for success. How are we going to know when Limb Art is working well? So I'd written down on the wall, customers will be saying things like, product looks fantastic, arrived on time, great customer service, dead easy to measure, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
And people are recommending us to others. And I thought, if people are saying that, then the business is working well.
Yeah.
And we've almost had none of that. Nobody ever says anything like that about our leg covers. They say things like, this has changed my life.
Wow.
I used to walk into a room and feel very conscious of people looking at my leg.
Yeah.
Because it was just a stem. And then I'd catch them looking at my leg. They'd catch me catching them. So they'd now feel awkward. And everyone, you just get this awkward silence and people staring until eventually someone ends up saying something like, oh, hope you don't mind me asking, how did you lose your leg?
Yeah.
Which is a real bad way to start a discussion.
Yeah.
Especially when you get asked it every day.
And it's almost like it's like looking at you, your disability, not you as a person.
Absolutely, yeah. So as if you walked into a room, for instance, with your Guinness leg on that now says legless on it, I guarantee you no one will ask you how you lost your leg. They'll go, that is a cool leg cover.
Yeah.
And what a great way to start a discussion. So it starts as something cool, something it makes the wearer feel really confident when they walk in.
Yeah.
And Joe Public feel comfortable then.
Yeah.
That when they're looking at the leg, they've almost got permission to look at the leg, and it breaks that barrier down.
And in terms of pre-cool leg cover, when you were having to deal with that every day, how, as a society, could we have done it better? How could we have been kinder to? Because it does make an awkward conversation, but equally, it's the elephant in the room.
It's one of them things that, as a society, we could maybe stop looking and staring and things at amputees. That's like trying to say to the world, okay, what I want you to do for Tuesday next week is stop breathing for Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
If you decided tomorrow to go and dye your hair bright pink, when you walk down the street, I guarantee you, people will be looking at your hair going, look at that lady with
different.
If you're not the norm, whatever the norm is, people are going to look and they're interested, and some people say something that's supposed to be a joke and it doesn't come across as a joke and all these kind of things. And you're never going to stop that.
Yeah.
But the leg covers not only they don't stop it, but they change it into a real positive format.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because, like, we can try and not look and stare.
Yeah.
But as humans...
Yeah. Well, what's really, really interesting, University of Wales have written the paper. We were involved in the project on exactly that issue of what are people thinking and why are they staring? And one of the real interesting parts we did in that paper is I got videoed telling a story, just a random story. And then we did eye tracking on the people listening to me on the video. So on the first video, they'd CGI'd a real leg. So I had 2 real legs, which was slightly tough to see because I'd never, because I'd never seen myself with 2 legs. And then they played exactly the same video again, but I was wearing a stem leg. And then the last one, the video, I was wearing a limb art cover. And then on the one where I've got 2 real legs, everyone's just focused on my mouth.
Yeah.
Just listening to the story and that's it. When I'm wearing the stem leg, they're still mainly focused on my mouth, but there is loads of micro glances, they call it,
right,
of people looking at my stem leg. And it's like 0.1 of a second or something like that, because your brain is telling you, you're not supposed to look at that. Don't look at that. Stop looking. Stop looking. But you can't resist it and you keep looking. But then interestingly, when I'm wearing the limb art cover, again, they're focusing on my face, but there's looks at my leg, proper looks.
Yeah.
And it's clear that it gives them this like, yes, you can look at my leg, gives them that authority. Yeah, you can look, no problem.
Yeah.
So it clearly makes them feel a lot comfier.
Yeah, but then it is drawing attention, so some people might not don't want to draw attention.
No. But for them, they're probably, if they don't want to draw attention, they're probably not going to be wearing shorts and stuff.
Yeah.
They'd be wearing trousers.
Yeah.
And then the leg cover then has a different purpose. It gives you that silhouette under trousers.
Yeah.
So it doesn't stand out. You don't get that original thing that developed limb art, which was the flappy
trouser.
Yeah, trouser leg syndrome, as we called it. It solves that. So if you want to absolutely not have people looking at you, then wear a limb art cover under skinny jeans or trousers or whatever, and it'll give you that silhouette. But then if you do want to stand out, stand proud a little bit, then you can have your carbon fibres or your Hawaiians or your whatever, or even your full customs. Very, very often, daily almost, if I go to the supermarket or anywhere, quite often people will go, I just want to say, I think your leg is cool.
Yeah. Which is
and I feel great then and they feel great.
Yeah. So actually, like, you wouldn't mind someone actually saying that to you. That makes you feel good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's all more about being positive about it.
Yeah. And of course, I don't want this to sound like, it's us that have changed society. This is on the back of, I think there was a big step change with London 2012.
Yeah.
With the Paralympics there. And you see it now. We're not there yet, but we're certainly getting there, on Strictly.
Yeah.
An amputee on Strictly.
Yeah.
And you see now adverts on TV. There was one for Aviva Insurance of a bloke running along the beach who's an amputee. And I remember watching that advert to start with thinking, what's this got to do with an amputee? Why is there an amputee advertising car insurance? And then you realise by the end, you go, well, why shouldn't an amputee?
Yeah.
And it just becomes normal. It's moved itself away. Disability has been stuck for donkey's years, and I don't think the movie industry helps.
Yeah.
That generally everyone who's a villain is disabled. You look at all the nasty people, and they've got a patch on their eye.
Yeah,
they're in a wheelchair. They generally, a lot of villains have got a disability of some kind or another. And I think they're trying to portray this thing of, well, if you're disabled, you obviously must be angry at the world and want to kill the world or something. So that's what we've taught society. We've done a couple of projects now where we've talked to Disney on it, and they never purposely set out to do it, but
it's just happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
And being an amputee now is kind of cool.
Yeah. What's the best act of kindness someone's done across this journey for you?
For sure, although there's been many, many hundreds of people, from a little kid going into the corner shop and saying, can I give my pocket money to Mark to go to the Paralympics? But I think the biggest one of them all is Mick giving me that year for free.
Yeah, that chance.
He wasn't after anything out of it.
Yeah. And what would you say is the biggest act of kindness you've done?
I guess my issue probably is I probably don't realise the effect some of the things I've done have had on other people.
Yeah.
I get it a bit now because I do quite a few talks and stuff around about my journey, and that helps. One in particular, I did a talk at Bedouin Jail in Wrexham to a group of lads there that were in for various different law-breaking things. And some of them you could see they were like career criminals and, well, they're going to need a lot of help. But some of them had just made a mistake in life. And a lot of them were like someone saying, look, if you can take this package from here to there, I'll give you 500 quid.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Yeah.
And then if the police stop you, you'll be innocent because You just say, I don't know what was in the package.
Yeah.
Yeah, naively they do it. And there was, I was talking about entrepreneurship, and there's actually a bit of a link between criminals and disabled. Bear with me on this one. A lot of there's a higher percentage of disabled people are entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Because they struggle to get a job. Especially if you're wheelchair bound or something like that, then life is hard. The world isn't built for a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So I can imagine, although they're not supposed to do it, you go into a job interview and there's an able-bodied person and a disabled person, and they're both equally as good. And the owner of the company looks at the disabled one and goes, if you get the job, it's going to cost me about 40 grand in doing ramps and putting a lift in and all these kind of things, as you can start tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the disabled person doesn't get as much chance.
Yeah.
So I think they end up being forced to start their own business. And also, there is a lot of people I know that are running their own business that are disabled, and their idea is exactly the same as mine. It's come not from a business idea, it's come from, let me solve something for myself. And then you realise the whole rest of the world that's the same as me, all of the 30 million amputees also want it. So there's that. You go to criminals, the people that are in jail, and they have a similar issue, equally qualified to someone else. You've got a 3-year gap in your CV here. What did you do? I was in Bedouin for 3 years on a drug transporting charge or something. Okay, I'm not going to get the job here. So a lot of them end up being self-employed in a legal way. So anyhow, I'd done this talk on entrepreneurship, and I said, you don't think of entrepreneurs as like Elon Musk or Bill Gates and stuff, where you've got to make billions of pounds and be right across the world. Entrepreneurship can be, I said, on the way in this morning into the jail, I said, there's a guy with a caravan on the side of the A55 selling bacon butties. Yeah. He's an entrepreneur. He's decided, I'm going to do this myself.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship can start in very small bits. About 2 years after that talk, I got an email through to info@Limart from a guy, and he just said, just wanted to let you know, I bought myself a caravan and I now sell bacon butties on the side of the A55. And he was in the jail at the time when I talked.
That's great.
So you go, made a difference there. And some of the leg covers we've done have really transformed people's lives. We gift quite a few leg covers.
I can imagine.
Well, literally this morning, I just had a picture from Ukraine. So a guy that's lost his leg in the war. We've sent a leg cover out to the Ukraine. That's the second one we've done to Ukraine. A guy had lost his leg in Basra, and he came to terms with losing his leg okay, but struggled with the fact that he'd had a tattoo done when he was out in Basra of him and his 3 squad mates on the side of his leg. So he'd lost that. And in the accident he'd had, his 3 squad mates died. So he was the only one left. So he really emotionally was struggling with that one. So we managed to recreate the tattoo.
That's brilliant.
We delivered it out to him, and there was me, his consultant, and him. He put his leg cover on, and he just said, "Oh, my mates are back." Yeah. And it's like the 3 of us are like,
that's cool.
Real emotional stuff.
And that's the good thing about kindness, isn't it? It gives you a buzz as well.
Yeah, feeling 10 times better because every day you're making a difference in someone's life.
Yeah.
So my career ambition to be rich wasn't actually wrong. I just didn't understand what rich was.
Okay.
Rich was nothing to do with money, which I thought it was.
Right. Rich
was doing what we do now, which is making a difference to people pretty much every day.
So actually your act of kindness, therefore, is the fact that every day you come in here and want to make a difference to people. But
it doesn't feel like an act of kindness because it's my job, although it doesn't seem like a job because I just come in here and we make leg covers and talk about it. Yeah. But for the wearer, I think it makes I know from myself that it makes a huge difference.
Brilliant. And so we always, towards the end of the podcast, talk about is it like a kindness summary? So what top 3 things would you say, as an amputee probably, can we do to make it easier for other amputees, and like from your experience?
I say the biggest thing is don't shy away from it. Talk to amputees are the same as everybody else. The worst thing is having that stare and nobody says anything. That's the real awkward bit. Get involved, and very, very few amputees will be offended or anything if you ask. Because it's curious. How do you take it off when you go swimming? Do you do this? And everyone's got all these questions in their head. So just ask.
I like that one.
I try and rule my life with 2 simple pictures. One is a picture of a radiator and one's a picture of a drain. I try and surround myself with radiators.
Okay.
And this is not radiators in the room that keep you warm. This is doing stuff that makes you feel good.
Right, okay.
From going to the pub with your mates, and you come home and you feel better because you've had a bit of a crack with them and you've had a laugh. So to doing talks to different charities and things, and a lot of them I do voluntary.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good to share the story, and gives other people that are maybe having a bit of a tough time a bit of inspiration and happiness. So I surround myself with situations and people who are radiators.
Yeah.
And then I keep at arm's length situations and people that are drains, that suck the living daylights out of you, that are after nothing in life, just want something. But the caveat on that would be that you've got to really realise why someone might be a drain.
Right.
And it might be that they're just having a real hard time. So then it's your job as a radiator to stick your arm around them, give them a bit of your heat, and bring them back to the radiator side.
I love that.
So that's kind of how I do it, which is why we fund some leg covers for people, and we've got our Smile Foundation that we are trying to build now. We've got a philanthropist that's come in that's helped us fund leg covers. We do them at cost or for free, something like that. So if we see somebody out there that could really benefit in whatever way from having a leg cover, then we can probably fund it through the Smile Fund.
That's great. Any other tips around kindness? You seem to be oozing it, which is your radiator of kindness. I quite like that.
No, I think it's just... I think there's probably a bit too much these days of people going, well, what do I get out of it? Yeah. And then you'll probably be disappointed what you get out of it, because you'll end up not doing a lot, so then therefore not getting a lot out of it. Is just do stuff without any expectation of getting anything back. But the one guarantee you get is if you do stuff that's good, I guarantee you it'll come back to you. Yeah. You don't have an option. It'll come back to you. Yeah. And especially if at some point you might need some help, then all those years of doing some good stuff will really put the hand on your shoulder and help you through the bad stuff.
Brilliant. So we've got, don't shy away from the questions if you see an amputee. Be a radiator.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just keep working through doing good stuff.
Yeah.
Because with no expectation, just because it makes you happier. Yeah. But then ultimately, what goes around comes around, really.
Yeah. And try it. Try doing something good that really makes you feel good. Yeah. And then just look at yourself and go, how did I feel after I did that good thing? And compare it to how did you feel after you got your last pay rise? Yeah. And just see which is the best.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Curious Chats and Kind Acts. It was lovely to have you. Can I just say a massive thank you to all the people that we've interviewed who have been so honest and vulnerable with me, so that we can have these real life stories to share with you, our wonderful listener. And remember, we'd love to hear what random or small acts of kindness you've been up to, so that we can maybe do a few. Find us on all the socials, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our /ActsGB, that's ACTSGB. And drop a comment on our feed, tweet us, or even send a photo. Let's build our kindness community together. We'll read some of our favourites on future episodes of Curious Chats and Kind Acts. And you never know, we might even have a go at a few of your ideas ourselves. Watch this space on the socials. For more information about the Acts charity, including how to donate to us, head to actsonline.uk. See you next time.